So it's about 5:30 and I'm heading to work, and I live about 10-15 minutes right now because it's so early. It just takes me about 10 minutes. There's really no traffic. My call doesn't actually start until 7, but I go in early because I like to be prepared and I like to look through all the charts. I think it's important to be early because it gives you more time to think about your patients and what you want to accomplish for the day instead of being on rounds and trying to come up with your plans at that time. So that's why I'm going in early. So I'll get there to work, and then I will start doing my pre-charting. So basically this means I look at all the overnight vitals, I check all of the baby's weights, make sure they're all gaining weight, and then I check all the labs, the imaging that was done, and then if they had an echocardiogram, I look through the pictures to make sure I know what their anatomy looks like. And then I will also start to put in some orders if I already know I want to get specific labs early in the morning, or if I already know that they're going home, I'll start working on their discharge summaries, things like that. Alright, so I just got to the office and I'm going to start pre-charting. So what pre-charting is, I look through all of my patients for today. I print out my list of patients and I go through and I look at all their vitals. I look at their heart rate, their blood pressure, their oxygen, their pulse, all of that. And then I will look for any new labs or any new imaging that we got. For me specifically, if there was an echo, I'll try to review it and see if I can understand kind of like what are the concerns in the echo, and then if I don't understand something, I'll talk to my attending about it and during rounds. That's what kind of pre-charting is. And then once I finish with this, then I go to rounds at 7:30. At rounds, we do surgical rounds first in the ICU. So that's a team of surgeons with NPs and the intensivists and the NPs in the ICU. If there's a fellow, sometimes there's medical students, and then of course all the nurses. So we go around and we talk about every patient and just kind of highlight the things that have been going on. And then today's kind of special because after that I have to go to a conference at 8 o'clock. So that's surgical conference. So we talk about patients that are scheduled for surgery in the upcoming week, and then we talk about patients that are currently admitted, and we talk about their medical management and see if there's any surgical management that they might need. Once I'm done with that, I will probably go to the floor. That's where I usually spend most of my day, rounding on the patients that are under my service, putting in orders, talking with the residents, the nurses. Alright, so I already finished multidisciplinary rounds and went to the floor to check on all my patients, and now I'm heading back to the ICU to see how those patients are doing. So I'm done with rounds now. I've seen all my patients and I'm going to start writing my notes. What I like to do is basically go through and write everything that I've written in my paper form, all the notes that I've taken, and put it into my daily progress notes. So that includes how the patient is feeling today, all the labs for today, and then I talk about each system. So I start with the heart, obviously. I talk about any changes that we're making there, any medication changes, and then I go through each system to make sure I'm not missing anything. I find that that's probably the best for me, because I feel like if I do it by problem, sometimes I tend to miss things. So systems is just tried and true for me, so that's what I always do. And then I always make sure that I write down what is the plan going forward, and what is the plan for them to discharge home, and what are the barriers to discharge. So then that tells the person who comes after me like why the patient is still in the hospital, why they're still requiring the level of care that they're getting. And then it's just easier for other people to follow like what I'm thinking and what my team is thinking. So I'm gonna get started on that now, and hopefully it won't take too long. It's time for a break. I usually come in here and do lunch really quickly, and I'm usually still working, putting in orders or calling consults that I need to come see my patients. I usually try to call them early, but sometimes things happen and you can't do that on rounds all the time. At noon, I have a lecture. Usually it's a lecture that's something related to cardiology, and it's more educational, where we actually sit down with one of our attendings and we go through a PowerPoint or something like that. It's more dedicated time for us to learn. So that is what my day will look like. So I'll catch up with you guys later. Okay, so I was supposed to have lecture at noon, but that got canceled, and we're gonna reschedule for another time later this week. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow up on a few things from this morning, and then I have a few patients that are coming out of the ICU and coming to the floor, so I have to make sure that they're tucked in and everything is like settled before the end of the day. And then I have one admission to do as well. It's a patient who is coming in for surgery, so we want to make sure that they have all of their labs done, all of their imaging before they have to go to surgery tomorrow. So I'm gonna be working on that until 4-ish or so, and then I'll start working on my checkout. Okay, so I just finished doing my checkout for today, and I'm taking a little bit of a break. Basically today I stayed a little bit longer than I usually do. I'm usually done by 4, but I'm on call tonight, so there was a few things kind of pending that I wanted to finish up before I went home, so then I wouldn't get called back here to do any of that or get called at home. But it was a good day, and I saw a very interesting patient with a very complicated heart who is gonna need surgery, which is a procedure called the Glenn procedure. It's a surgical procedure where basically we're trying to palliate the heart, which means that we're not fixing the patient's heart problem, we're just kind of giving them more time to grow and ultimately get them ready for their last stage of palliation, which is their Fontan. So that's it for now. I think I'm gonna head out soon and go home.